Hey, friends. Welcome to the Fundraising Leadership Podcast with your favorite friends. Dare I say, I won't say it, Margaret. But anyway, your friends, Margaret Katzcan and David Landruli, here on a cloudy, rainy, 50-degree day in Naples, Florida. How's it there for you, Margaret?
It's sunny and very cold in Boulder, Colorado. There's some snow on the ground, and yeah, it's very pretty out.
Well, Margaret showed up uh, uh, on the video today with some bedhead hair, and I just said she was reprising her. I said she was reprising her '80s look.
Yeah, which was
Yeah.
ironic because I was sharing with David that I spent the weekend in sort of a mini informal reunion with a bunch of high school friends, which was, and I realized I'm dating myself anyway from the 80s. So,
Yeah.
well, that's when
So
I
we thought
graduated from high
we
school.
thought we'd talk about the '80s a little bit and see where it goes. For those of you millennials and Zen Gers or Zen Zers, Gen Zers, Gen
I
Z,
like Zangiers better than
Zen
Gen
Gers. I like that better too. I'm a Zen
Zangiers.
Ger.
We did a poll. They might also prefer it, just saying.
Okay. And of course, the boomers out there in the audience, you might have some children or who sort of were on the part of that 80s scene, or you were part of it in a very, I mean, the 80s in New York City was for the boomers, that was like a cocaine induced high scene, I think.
Yeah, big time, I think, for clubbing and or like it wasn't called clubbing then. It was, but it also wasn't discos, so it was like
Right.
something in between.
It
I
was
was too
definitely,
young to get in legally, just saying, to any of those places back then.
but I do listen to First Wave on the satellite XM. And I do remember in high school, I think not Pat Benatar, but another one from that era.
Yeah,
Um, oh, who am I thinking about? It's gonna come to me now. Joan Jett. Oh yeah, Joan
Joan
Jett
Jett.
came to like uh there was like a this was before anybody knew about Joan Jett, and she came and performed at like an outdoor venue in the town where I was going to high school, Lynbrook, New York, and I still remember that. I went to very few concerts, but that's one. And then I'm listening to like Sting, and I'm watching. This is another thing that triggered. I got lots of memories from the '80s. So I read the books, the trilogy of Dune, during the '80s. And
Hmm.
for those of you involved with pop culture, might be aware that there was a film by David Lynch in the '80s, that
And Sting was in it, and he
and
played somebody
Sting.
super creepy.
Yeah, he was kind of creepy. The whole movie was kind of creepy. I don't even want to get into the parts of like the beings that were the time travelers, the guild. Those things were really freaky looking. They were like in this like kind of like floating in fluid, and they had like, I don't even want to say it's a mixed audience, but anyway, the spice thing was all related to the drug scene that was going on back in those days. And but there is a remake that came
Yeah, it
out.
just came out a couple of years ago, maybe
Right.
2 years
It's
ago.
really good. Really, really good. And so
You
it's
can't see
really
me,
good.
but I'm making a face.
I
Well,
know.
David can see me.
Margaret's not really a film person. I'm more of a film person.
That's not true. I found the first Dune so dark that I
Right.
had to walk out, and I didn't make it through the second version either.
Well,
So maybe it's
it's
just not my
also
story.
dark. It's dark, but the new version is more, it's a juxtaposition because it's kind of sci-fi and future, but there's a lot of like brutalist architecture in there. It's kind of like it looking back, it's kind of like modern but ancient. Like these guys fight with swords. I mean, it's very interesting. And yet they
Yeah.
have these really modern like force fields that they use. It's so weird. I mean,
Yeah.
that's yeah. Anyway,
it was a little weird for me. It was a little dark for me. So, but it actually, it has me doing a little segue, and we can go back and talk about the 80s if you want, but it makes me think of a leadership question.
yeah.
See, I knew
Uh,
we'd get there on any
Yes, we
topic.
are.
And the leadership question is just around like, okay, I abandoned the movie early. Like for me, that arc was done
Mhm.
after about 22 minutes of watching the movie. But I missed
Mhm.
out on something, right? Like if I had stayed for the whole movie, maybe I would have had a different opinion. And
Mhm. Mhm.
it's just sort of this interesting question about like when do we leave? When do we say enough, or when do we stay and see what's ahead? It's kind of a thing
That's a
that's
good
been on
question.
my mind as from my some of my clients
Yeah,
right
that's a good
now.
question. I've never walked out on a film
Wow.
that I paid money for. And I've never well, that's not entirely true. Most recently I started a sequel. I can't remember this. The first movie I liked, it was a sequel, and the sequel sucked. And I was like, it's just easy, like on Amazon or Netflix, to just say, okay, yeah, this is not going where, this is just not my thing. But this was already the second movie, right? So I completed the first movie, and it's just the second one. Oh, I think it's called. Wait, oh gosh. Anyway, sometimes my memory doesn't serve me very well anymore. But it's a good question. Like I tend to be someone, I think, who will stick with something to completion and then choose whether I'm going to watch the sequel or not, or whether I'm going to read the next book, or in my case, write the next book, which, by the way, folks in the audience, stay tuned. The next book is uh, pretty much finishing touches are on it now.
Ooh,
And
that's exciting.
I want to hear I'm totally diverging now because Margaret's also in. This is a very divergent podcast. It's going to become
Yeah.
that now. Margaret is also in the throes of a book project. I want to hear where you are with yours, and then this is kind of in the realm of like, do you finish? Do you complete?
Yeah. I will complete this project. I will say that I will complete it for sure. It is, well, okay, actually this is amazingly related because I had to take a pause from my writing because it was feeling pretty dark and emotional, and sometimes the writing is very cathartic for me. It's very therapeutic.
Are you
But then,
saying that I would walk out on your book because it's
well,
dark,
no, I'm
Margaret?
saying that I have not exactly walked out on my book, but I'm in the lobby buying popcorn at this moment on my book. But it also what's clear to me is that it actually needs a second skin. I need to go back and find some lightness. Like I've really done the therapeutic part, and
Mhm.
now what it wants is actually more humor, more goofy, more stories that make people smile, that make me smile when I remember them. And so I'm eating popcorn and I'm transitioning myself from some of the harder, more poignant stories and
Mhm.
pieces, the drama, and now I'm going to
Right.
go weave back in something that has it easier for people to stay and watch the whole movie.
Maybe you could even weave in some stories from the 80s that were, I know the 80s was maybe a tough time for you. I know part of your life story um, but I would be, and some of us, I know for me, for a long time, I think I blocked out a lot of that part of my life. Um,
Yeah, I'm gonna share if it's okay. Something sort of actually this is a fairly personal share here, but on my weekend with many of my high school friends who were congregated this weekend, and we were in the desert in Utah, and I sought out a man who we dated senior year of high school, and I wanted to sort of revisit a little bit. I wanted to share something with him that I hadn't shared that had happened before we met.
mhm,
And I did that. And there was something actually, this was profound because I think I've looked back on that time with not a lot of nostalgia,
mhm,
and
mhm,
as I spoke with him and I remembered, like, he's a really A+ human. Like, it was so fun to reconnect, and it was so validating that
mhm,
even in high school, there was wisdom in me. I did a lot of unwise things, but there was also wisdom in me in surrounding myself by people who were loving and funny and smart and all of these
Hmm.
things. And anyway, it was an interesting perspective to look back and find actually more sweetness
Hmm.
from that time than I normally give myself, as I recall that period.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. It's in this topic that we're talking about today, which we had no topic when we came on other than let's talk a little bit about the 80s, and here
David
came
just
the
hit record. There was no plan here. I know that's hard to believe.
that's why it's a little rambly, but we did come on a topic here of called completion and arcs in our lives and in our work. Um, and what I'm hearing you say is that there might have been something incomplete in that relationship that you had an opportunity to complete um, while you're still alive and with that person. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he was receptive and he felt, I think, honored, that I went back and reconnected from back then. And
Hmm.
yeah, I do. I think there's this way sometimes when we remember things that we sometimes file them in our brains, with one word on the file, in this very simplistic, like that sucked. I know that's two words, but or bad experience,
Hmm. Hmm.
or hard, something that was hard. And then when we get more skills and we get a little bit older, sometimes we can look back and see it with more colors than just the
Yeah.
one.
Well, it's bringing up some work that I did through Landmark, where certainly in the Landmark Forum, they encourage you to look at your life and um, see where there might be some incompletions in relationship. Mostly this is around relationship we're talking about here. And I think when gosh, this didn't like even come to me until I was in my like mid to late 50s, like this whole idea of completing the past. And that you can actually do that in the present. You can complete the past
Yeah.
the way you did in this relationship. So it's really about relationships. So I know in my own life, there are still some incompletions. Um, and even if the person is not alive any longer, you have an opportunity to complete with that person. Say whatever you need to say so that, and you may have to say it very, like, for example, forgiveness is one of the practices of completion. So have, you may be carrying some guilt or shame around something you did or did not do in that relationship, and you can forgive yourself. Or maybe that person did or said something to you that hurt you, and you can forgive that person. Uh, you'd be surprised how long we can carry around resentments, and those resentments can run our lives. So, who knew that we were going to get into completion? But uh, I'm trying to think if there's any. There probably are some things from the 80s that I'm incomplete about. So as we're talking about this right now, I'm going to take a look at that decade and see if there's anything I want to complete uh, in terms of relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. And probably there's a relationship with bad hair that needs to be completed also.
Forgive.
Although,
Here's a completion. Forgive. Like go get go get the photo album. Take a look at your bad hair and forgive yourself for ever allowing yourself to have that hair.
that's right. The relationship with hairspray, like you just got to forgive yourself. Like
You
it
gotta
seemed like a
forgive
good
yourself.
idea at the time.
Yeah, yeah. You can actually sometimes. My first coach that I worked with, um, I forget there was something that was incomplete for me, and I don't remember what it was because I've completed it now, so it's still not lingering around. That's the real. gift in this kind of an exercise that I'm going to talk about, and I'm kind of get back to hairspray in a moment here. So hang in there with me. This is Coach Dave. He's circling Dallas. He's going to land. He's going to land here shortly. So my coach Graham Coppin, who is now a front of the room leader for the Coactive Institute, had me write down whatever it was I wanted to say about this incident. You know, just write it down in like a note to myself, and then he had me burn it. And Margaret's shaking her head now, like she kind of knows this kind of practice. It's a good practice. So if there's something that's incomplete for you, and if it's just the fact that you use hairspray, you could just light the lighter and spray the can of hairspray till it's all burnt out. You see, you will have
Okay,
completed your experience with hairspray through fire.
great. But please do it outside with a fire extinguisher
Oh
nearby.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. But actually, that was a good practice. I think that's a way of like really making it tangible. Like you write it down, like here's what happened, here's what I would have liked to have happened, here's, uh, how I felt hurt, here's I forgive myself, I forgive the other person. And then you just light it up and let it go. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, burning something is a completion, right? It's finished as it was. It's no longer in the form that it was. And I think the
Right.
intention of burning things, whether you are literally burning something or doing it in a more metaphoric way, it's a strong statement of intention,
Hmm.
like I don't want
Hmm.
to do this anymore. I'm finished with this.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that even in an ongoing relationship, you know, something happens and um you can I mean, I do this with my wife all the time, right? I mean, you know, I might have said something that hurt her feelings, or well, I'll give you an example. This happened last week. Um Margaret knows that I'm um, somewhat protective of my children. That I feel like their safety is my priority. And
Yes, high value for you.
yeah,
See,
and
yeah,
and I don't need to get into the story about why I'm that way. But my wife's a little bit more laissez-faire in how she is with our children. I'm a little bit more tight. She's a little bit loose. And anyway, my younger daughter, called us last week saying, as my younger daughter gets very enthusiastic, and she's like, I'm gonna go on this retreat, and it's gonna be in South Central Texas, and we're not gonna have any cell phones, and by the way, I don't check on my kids. I don't have any trackers. I only let them, but I just got completely triggered knowing what I know about what's going on in Texas right now. I was like, I just lost it, man. And I was like, you're not going on any freaking retreat out in the middle of nowhere in southwestern Texas, driving 5 hours. Anyway, we navigated, and then my wife was like, yeah, a little bit more laissez-faire about it. And I got pretty upset. So I apologized to both of them, and we actually talked it through a bit more. And I actually got an email from the pastor. So this is like, through a church where my daughter does some Bible study, and he explained more of this, and my daughter explained more of the situation to me, while she calmed down from her enthusiasm. Oh, I'm going with these people, and there's going to be four of us, and it's going to be safe, and here's an email from the pastor to tell you what it's all about. And so I apologize for my getting I wouldn't say angry. I would say, well, there was a little bit of anger in there, but it was more like just like very hyper vigilant. That would be it. Yeah.
yeah. Sounds like
I don't have
possibly
a
a
hyper
little, a
vigilant, but
little
when it comes, yeah,
controller, a little controller in
a
there
little
too.
controller in there too. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. But that's so, um, I apologize. And that's how you can also complete Apologies are really good tools for completion,
Yeah,
I found.
they are. Sometimes they're not enough, but wow, are they a great start?
Yeah, it's true. And if you've earned like there's a Stephen Covey saying about putting deposits in people's emotional bank accounts. If you put a lot of deposits in somebody's emotional bank account, as I have done with my wife and my daughters, I think you can make withdrawals that are unskillful at times and replenish the account with apology.
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
yes,
Well, there you go. From the
there
80s
is
to completion.
the completion. And I think we are complete. This
I think
this
we're complete. And look, if you've got something that you're holding on to, something that's keeps coming up in your psyche that's incomplete, write it down and burn it up.
Yeah. Or reach out. We'd love to talk with you and
Yeah.
help you find some more skill to navigate a hard situation.
Yeah. And here's the thing, Margaret and I are, if you're being particularly hard on yourself about something that you did or you didn't do, this is not all that helpful. And Margaret and I are expert at helping you deal with that inner critic, and we'd love to help you with that. And in particular, I work with a lot of clients around this practice of forgiveness, and I've actually guided uh, clients through that, and it is a practice. And I'd be happy to help you with that too. Yeah. All right. Take
Sounds
care.
good.